Hello everyone, we are Group I, and we have the pleasure of working on this project for Nadara, a renewable energy company. Our goal was to identify the most impactful generative AI use cases that align with Nadara strategic business objectives. This is our talented team. I'm Eleonora, and together with Sofia from Italy, Justin and Mika are from Germany. We've combined our diverse perspectives and backgrounds to deliver insights tailored to Nadara's innovation journey. Here is our agenda for today. We'll walk you through how we apply the value creation method to Nadara's case, step by step, define, increase, assess, narrow, and act. Let's begin with phase one, define. In this stage, we focused on understanding Nadara's current position in AI adoption and identifying the key challenges to address. To do this, we use the value creation method's diagnosing framework, focusing on two key activities: understanding the challenge and mobilizing the four M's: manpower, minutes, money, and motivation. Let's break that down. First, the challenge. The core challenge was already partially outlined by Nadara's leadership. Identify the most impactful GenAI use cases that support the company's long-term business goals. However, that's a broad starting point. So we work with key decision makers to clarify expectation and priorities. This engagement helps us move from a theoretical question to a real business-aligned problem. Second, the 4M's assessment. To assess feasibility, we examined Nadara's internal resources. Manpower. Nadara already has motivated and experienced champions internally. The key decision maker provided not only time and input, but a clear vision for transformation. Minutes. The timeline for AI implementation was defined as approximately 1 year. Money. A 500,000 budget from JP Morgan has been allocated to AI efforts. And motivation. The leadership team is highly motivated and committed to exploring AI not just as a tech trend, but as a strategic enabler. To frame Nadara's challenge in context, we also look at the macro trends affecting the energy sector. The European Union Green Deal and climate neutrality targets for 2050 are accelerating the shift to renewable energy. At the same time, digitalization is becoming essential. AI is now being used to improve grid stability, optimize energy flows, and reduce operational costs. For example, 110 billion euros was invested in renewable energy across Europe in 2023 alone. 24.5% of total energy consumed in Europe now comes from renewables. And new market reforms, such as contract for difference and PPAs, are making long-term green investments more attractive. This slide gives a quick overview of Nadara. The company is based in Edinburgh and employs over 1,000 professionals. It focuses on renewable energy with 92% of its capacity in onshore and offshore wind power, alongside solar, biomass, and storage solutions. Nadara operates more than 200 sites across Europe and the US, with a total installed capacity of 4.2 gigawatts. It also recently raised $420 million in debt financing, confirming strong investor confidence. Next, we take a look at Nadara's strategic context through the 5C framework. Starting with company, Nadara is a mission-driven renewable energy producer founded in 2024 through the merger of Renantis and Ventian Energy. It's a young company, but already well-founded and ambitious. Right now, it's still going through its post-merger integration phase. Looking at customers, Nadara serves a broad and diverse customer base. This includes industrial clients, transmission system operators, and local communities. Across all these segments, there is a common expectation: reliable, affordable, and clean energy. As for competitors, Nadara operates in a highly competitive landscape. Major players like Ørsted and Iberdrola are not only well established, but are also heavily investing in digital innovation and AI, setting a high bar for performance and technological leadership. Moving to collaborators, one of Nadara's strengths lies in its strong network of partners. It benefits from institutional backing, such as support from JP Morgan, as well as a broad ecosystem of local suppliers and technical collaborators who bring special expertise for innovation and scale. Finally, context. Nadara is operating in a global environment that is rapidly pushing toward decarbonization. Finally, we reviewed Nadara's mission and values, which clearly emphasize inclusion, learning, shared growth, and a culture of collaboration and care. This slide presents the key external factors influencing the renewable energy sector using the PESTEL framework. From a political view, the European Union Green Deal and the national incentives support clean energy growth, but permitting delays remain a challenge. On the economic side, wind and solar are now cheaper than fossil fuels. There is a strong investment, and carbon pricing is making renewables more competitive. Social factors also play a big role. Most Europeans demand clean energy, and big tech companies are signing direct renewable contracts. However, there is still some local opposition, especially around the wind farms. In terms of technology, innovations in solar, wind storage, and smart grids are improving efficiency and grid reliability. From the environmental perspective, there is strong momentum for decarbonization, but also growing concerns around resource availability and recycling needs. Lastly, under the legal pillar, regulations like the Red Third Directive and tools like PPAs and CFDs helps stabilize prices and support long-term investments. This context highlights both the opportunities and the challenges Nadara needs to consider when integrating AI into its strategy. This slide highlights the main competitive pressures in Nadara's market. Entering the sector is tough due to high costs and strict regulations, so the threat of new entrants is low to medium. Suppliers have moderate power since the industry depends on a few key technologies and raw materials. Competition is high, with many established players and a strong price pressure. Buyers have growing influence as they have more choices and are increasingly cost-sensitive. Substitutes are a low threat since policies strongly support renewables over alternatives like nuclear or gas. Overall, Nadara faces a challenging but promising market where efficiency and innovation are key to staying competitive. Then we turned inward with a SWOT analysis to assess Nadara's internal position. On the strengths side, Nadara has resources, strong motivation, and a clear commitment to innovation. However, weaknesses include fragmented data sources, limited AI expertise internally, and the absence of a formal AI roadmap. As for opportunities, AI can significantly improve due diligence, automate workflows, and differentiate Nadara from competitors. But we must be mindful of threats. High cost, unclear return on investment, and the fast-evolving nature of AI may introduce risks, especially without strong governance and data infrastructure. These analyses help us formulate strategic priorities around risk mitigation and capability development. This slide presents our TOES analysis, which connects Nadara's internal factors with external challenges and opportunities. Starting with strengths and opportunities, Nadara can use its solid position and openness to innovation to adopt AI-powered automation, for example in productivity or due diligence, and position itself as a tech-driven leader in the sector. Looking at weaknesses and opportunities, we recommend investing in AI upskilling for employees and collaborating with AI startups and providers to speed up implementation of tailored solutions. From the strength-threat perspective, it's important to make sure AI aligns with sustainability goals and to use AI for forecasting, reducing financial risk from energy market fluctuations. Finally, in the weakness threats quadrant, we highlight the need for a solid AI governance framework, as well as the optimization of data infrastructure to ensure ethical, efficient, and cost-effective adoption. Then we looked externally at Nadara's main competitors, EDP Renewables, Iberdrola, Ørsted, and Vattenfall. These players are more established with larger installed capacities and broader operations. Some, like Iberdrola and Vattenfall, also manage energy distribution and grid infrastructure, while Ørsted specializes in offshore wind. In contrast, Nadara focuses exclusively on renewable energy production, especially onshore wind and solar. While it's still building its market position, this focused approach gives Nadara more agility and room to innovate, particularly through AI-driven solutions. Finally, to distill everything into one core insight, we use the 5 whys method. At the surface, Nadara wants to explore AI, but asking why repeatedly led us to the real issue. Long-term success depends on adopting AI in a way that's strategic, financially sustainable, and internally feasible. In other words, it's not about adopting AI because it's trendy. It's about using it to reinforce what Nadara already does well, while preparing for a more competitive, data-driven future. To manage the project effectively, we set internal KPIs focused on collaboration and delivery. These include regular meetings, communication with Nadara's decision maker, and timely completion of each phase of the value creation wheel. This structure helps us stay organized, aligned, and responsive throughout the entire project. In the short term, we focus on early adoption and compliance. We look at how quickly employees begin using GenAI tools, how satisfied they are, and whether the tools meet Nadara's internal standards. Some KPIs include user adoption rate, task efficiency, and incident prevention. In general, we quantify these indicators to allow Nadara to monitor progress right from the start. For the medium term, the KPIs reflect growing integration and operational improvement. We focus on the percentage of automated improvements in forecasting and availability. Indicators are measurable and designed to show whether AI is truly helping Nadara work smarter and more efficiently. Finally, the long-term KPIs focus on strategic value and return on investment. We include metrics such as return on investment, alignment with strategic goals, and reduction in project delivery time and cost. By quantifying this, Nadara can track whether AI initiatives are delivering lasting business impact. We close the list with this stakeholder. As you can see here, we identify the relevant stakeholders and match them to the appropriate value creation with phases, from university and research labs to KDMs and external professionals, and even competitors used for benchmarking. This structured engagement model ensures that the right people are involved, which is critical for avoiding loss and accelerating implementation.
So now let's move on into phase two of the value creation wheel. After identifies another challenge, we moved into the idea generation. And the goal of this phase is to increase the range of potential idea, not just randomly, but in a structured, informed, and strategic way. This phase is about casting the net wide, but also making sure the ideas are relevant, realistic, and rooted in real world insights. To expand the solution space, we use a dual research strategy. On the secondary side, we study GenAI use cases in the renewable energy sector, learning from companies already integrate AI into their operation. This allowed us to benchmark what is working and adapt the best practices. On the primary side, we relied on direct input from professionals to interviews, and this allowed us to address Nadara's unique internal dynamics. The combination of both approaches gave us a well-rounded perspective, one rooted in external expertise but grounded in Nadara's internal reality. We conducted over 10 semi-structured interviews with professionals. This conversation focused on three goals: uncovering pain points, identifying the opportunities, and capturing unmet needs. We didn't just ask what AI could do in theory, we asked how it actually being used, where it fails, and what users wish exists. Key themes emerge: a desire of simple onboarding, more personalized tools, and a better understanding of what AI rules in day-to-day works. This insight help us guide not only our idea generation, but also how we shape our evaluation filter later on. The interview insights help us move from observation to direction. In short, we let the user pain point guide us toward focused, practical solution. For instance, participants often mention time lost or repetitive tasks, or the frustration of not knowing where to find internal resources. From that, we explored ideas like automated document generation and internal GenAI chatbots to support operations. During our primary research, we did also brainwriting, and this allowed us to tap into our internal creativity. In fact, each team member independently contributes idea in writing before discussing them, helping to avoid group thinking and stimulate diverse thinking. Many of the ideas were aimed to improve internal efficiency, like automatic meeting minutes, drafting email, and managing documents. Other focus on employee enablement, such as AI-powered learning apps and onboarding assistance. We also explored the strategic idea like GenAI for ESG reporting. By the end of this phase, we had a broad and diverse portfolio of ideas. After this, we stepped into the filter and criteria identification phase of the VCW, establishing 6 strategic dimensions, including financials, efficiency, feasibility, compliance, strategy, and scalability. At this stage, the goal wasn't to score ideas, but rather to generate and select the most relevant criteria, like the cost, automation level, regulatory alignment, integration complexity, and stakeholders' impact, that would help us to fairly and strategically assess idea in later phases. We'd ask ourselves how we will judge our ideas, what matter most to Nadara in terms of feasibility, speed, and alignment with core values. By framing our brainstorming around this, we ensured our future evaluation would be robust, balanced, and aligned with Nadara's strategic imperatives. With our initial idea pool formed, we applied the value creation wheel poker method to categorize and filter the concept. Each team member assessed the idea individually, and then as a group, we debate and recategorize idea into 4 groups: kill, review, keep, or multiply. For example, one idea might have seemed complex at first, but then after discussion, we realized it could be simplified and implemented quickly. In other cases, we spotted ideas that overlapped and decided to merge them. The result was a redefined idea portfolio ready for deep evaluation. The poker method allowed us to purify and structure the idea portfolio. Here you can see the results of our internal poker method session. Ideas were grounded into 4 categories: kill, review, keep, and multiply. Some were eliminated due to the complexity or repetition. For example, use cases like AI for internal communication, a smart home. Other like AI for documents management and ESG reporting were placed into keep or multiply because of their feasibility and high value creation potential. This categorization was based solely on the team judgment and wasn't about making final decision. It was about getting clear of what was worth carrying forward and what needed to be let go. After the initial team categorization, we align our finding with the key decision maker. Andre brings top-level strategic insights and ensure that our filtered idea align with Nadara mission. Compared to the previous slide, you will notice that some ideas were moved. For instance, AI-driven predictive maintenance was deprioritized due to the concern about timeline feasibility. On the other hand, upskill workforce and automated ESG reporting were reinforced as a strong candidate because they directly support their internal transformation and regulatory goals. So what changed? The KDM helped us to refocus on ideas that could be realistically implemented within budget and time constraints, and that align with Nadara's short-term digital roadmap. This redefinement step is a core part of the value creation wheel, ensuring strategic buy-in before proceeding with deeper assessment. We also ran a poker method session on the criteria. At this stage, we worked as a team to critical assets which filter should be used later to evaluate the GenAI use cases. While we started with a wide set of possible criteria, the poker method helped us identify which one were relevant and which one to discard. What we found was that many of the initial criteria were difficult to measure objectively or lacked clear application across use cases. For example, disruption to operations, AI transparency and explainability, ethical and cultural fit, and business unit value creation were all moved to kill category, primarily because of they were too vague, overlapping with other metrics, or hard to qualify. This step helped us streamline the evaluation process and focus focus only on clear, actionable, and relevant criteria. Finally, as we did for the ideas, we align with our key decision maker to finalize our criteria. One major change from the previous slide is the removal of the review category. All criteria were either confirmed as relevant, promoted, or discarded. For instance, some were discarded due to the low measurability, while others, like scalability or automation level, were promoted as they prove highly relevant in the next evaluation phase. Additionally, we started defining potential killer criteria, such as the cost under 500,000 euros, implementation time under 12 months, low complexity, and alignment with internal policies. This step helps us streamline the framework and prepare for the next phases. And now we step into the phase three. That is where we narrow down and prioritize. It was no longer about generating idea, it was about evaluating them in a business aligning way to find the most impactful and feasible solution for Nadara. So we start this phase with a dedicated alignment meeting with Andre, our key decision maker. And this meeting was essential, first of all, to validate the direction we were heading, but also to confirm which ideas truly aligned with Anara business goal, culture, and capabilities. From there, we followed a structured process. First, we tried to redefine our idea, selecting the most promising one. Then we finalize the evaluation and we ensure that those criteria and those ideas reflect the real world risk and opportunities by applying complementary strategic tools. In fact, in this phase, we use three complementary tools. First of all, we use the reverse thinking, and this helps us anticipate failure scenarios by asking what would make GenAI fail at Nadara. Then we use the risk analysis that surface the hidden vulnerability like poor using users onboarding and low transparency. And then we use the six thinking hats method that ensure we evaluate ideas holistically using logic, emotion, creativity, and caution together. These tools help us move beyond the theoretical impact and focus on practical, people centric implementation. So at this point, we organize and redefine the ideas using the outcomes from the poker method. At the end of this process, we went from over 50 initial idea to a list of 44. And from those, we identified 8 ideas that stood out for their potential. These were the most strategically relevant and feasible option, ranking from internal productivity to solutions that support employees' development as well as cross-functional applications. Once we had the ideas, we also finalized the evaluation criteria. And together with our KDM, we identified 4 must-have or killer criteria that every idea would need to pass in the next phases. These were budget, timeline, complexity of the implementation, and the policy alignment. After that, we selected also 9 weighted decision criteria, and we assign more weight to criteria that matter most to Nadara immediate needs, like efficiency improvement, ROI, and employee satisfaction. We assign lighter weight to factors like automation level or relevance on external resources, criteria that were still important but less critical. In this way, we ensure that in the next phase, we can make decisions based on what truly drive business value at Nadara.
So let us continue with phase 4 narrow, in which we decide on which final ideas we want to pursue. Let me quickly outline our 5-step methodology for phase 4. First, we applied our must-have criteria to the full set of 44 ideas, eliminating those that did not meet our core viability threshold. Second, we scored the remaining ideas using a multi-criteria decision analysis, MCDA, with 9 weighted filters, resulting in an objective ranking. In this third step, we crafted a detailed 12-month implementation plan for our top 2 ideas. We developed the 2 GenAI use cases or ideas into concise business value narratives. And finally, we built pilot concepts for the selected ideas to generate actionable recommendations for Nadara. In the next step, we applied the value creation funnel to filter the 44 initial ideas, ensuring that our final selections met the must-have requirements. As you can see, of the 44 ideas in total, 33 use cases passed the cost threshold because they have been under 500,000 euros. 26 met the timing requirements, meaning they could be implemented in below 12 months. 20 aligned with Nadara's internal policies. And last but not least, 13 were also feasible in terms of implementation. We then applied those remaining 13 ideas to a multi-criteria decision analysis, consisting also of the 9 additional ranking criteria. Our KDM assigned a respective rate between 2% and 20% to each criterion, depending on its importance, and rated each idea on a scale from 1, which means poor, to 5, which means very good, for every criterion. The resulting total scores enabled us to objectively identify the use cases offering the greatest business value for Nadara. This matrix represents the final overview of our multi-criteria decision analysis. The ranking criteria we used are in order: efficiency improvement for number 1 with 20%, scalability, employee satisfaction, strategic alignment with Nadara, return on investment potential, we have risk assessment, impact on stakeholder relationships, also automation level, and last but not least, the dependence on external resources. And this overview shows the assigned scores ranging from 1 to 5 for each idea criterion combination for our top 5 use cases. The automated Microsoft 365, including meeting of minutes generation and mail writing, had the highest overall score of 4.5. Upskilling Nadara's workforce emerged as the clear second place winner with a cumulative score of 4.4, making these the 2 top GenAI use cases and also candidates for further development. Before we elaborate on the 2 use cases, we want to introduce a 3-phase AI integration roadmap to Nadara. So we have 3 main pillars in total. Phase 1 focuses on enhancing individual productivity by automating routine tasks to increase efficiency for each individual employee. And this also involves automating Microsoft 365 and all its applications through GenAI, but also it includes automated email drafting, document management, and meeting minutes generation, very manual and routine tasks that employees do on a day-to-day basis. Phase 2 focuses on leveraging tailored GenAI chatbots to improve knowledge sharing, team collaboration, and also on-demand operational assistance. And last but not least, Phase 3, continuous learning with GenAI, delivers personalized training experiences and targeted GenAI-based upskilling opportunities to close, for example, skill gaps that an employee might have. From Phase 1 to Phase 3, the scope of GenAI adoption increases, and the same is true for the employee involvement and also the level of customization, as you could see. Next, we try to link our 2 selected final ideas, the GenAI use cases, from the multi-criteria decision analysis to the respective phases of the roadmap we created for Nadara. Automated Microsoft 365 and meeting of minutes generation and mail drafting basically improves individual productivity because employees do not have to spend as much time on these routine tasks. Imagine previously there have been employees just taking notes within the meetings. That is no longer necessary with our use cases. Here we suggest to use Microsoft Copilot and also Power Automate as most usable AI tools. Upskilling Nadara's workforce, on the other hand, through tailored AI assistants and training hubs, aligns with phases 2 and 3 of Nadara's roadmap, which are about utilizing chatbots and also fostering continuous learning. We consider tailored ChatGPT versions to be the most suitable AI tools for this stage. Tailored in this case means tailored to the specific needs of Nadara, the company. This Gantt chart outlines in the next step our proposed implementation of the 3 phases over the 12-month timeline the KDM gave us for the project. Phase 1 will last for the first 3 months, while phases 2 and 3 will begin simultaneously after phase 1 concludes or finishes. We also look beyond the time frame of 12 months to identify possible next steps for the company and to look into the future. Phases 4 and 5 cover, first of all, automated workflow optimizations, and second of all, the establishment of tailored real-time decision support through GenAI, both of which are future opportunities, but which we do not follow in the first 12 months because the other 3 phases we have can be put into practice more easily and align with all the different criteria better. Generative AI is more than just a technology, it is a transformational force. Industry research from McKinsey estimated a 3.9 trillion boost in global productivity through generative AI. So what are the effects of automating those routine tasks and also Microsoft 365 applications, mail drafting, meeting minutes generation? At Nadara, we estimated 4.5% weekly time gain per employee, which would translate into over 2 million in annual savings for Nadara every year. Document creation speed also increases by approximately 40% through the use of GenAI, with corresponding improvements in quality and also in reducing costs. In terms of upskilling the workforce, personalized learning paths through GenAI accelerate productivity and also performance. So in sum, you can see that those generative AI applications deliver measurable return on investment by saving time, by reducing costs, and also by elevating the output quality. On the next 2 slides, we detailed out our 2 GenAI use cases. So let's begin with automated Microsoft 365, focusing on mail drafting and meeting minutes first. Previously, these tasks required significant manual effort, often resulting in lost information or delayed actions or even inefficiencies across teams. So this created an opportunity to automate these tasks, including meeting execution and also follow-ups. And suitable tools that address exactly these pain points are Microsoft Copilot and Power Automate. So from transcribing meetings to drafting and automatically sending emails, extracting keywords from transcripts, but also assigning tasks and tracking deadlines, and also creating reminders, these tools can lead to real change. And we suggest introducing the first GenAI use case, this one right here, in 3 subsequent phases. So we start with a 1-month pilot. This is the right side of the slide. In selected departments first to collect immediate feedback on usability. The KDM told us that the department's operations and finance would be suitable for the pilot phase. After that, we follow with the second phase to scale the use case to more departments at Nadara, after some further refinements have been made. And eventually, the full rollout happens across the entire company in month 3. And the major benefits this use case would have for Nadara is, first of all, a substantial reduction in routine tasks, enabling employees to prioritize more important tasks, and also it increases overall efficiency. The prototype for our upskilling program consists of two major parts. First of all, internal training and development, and second of all, the day-to-day work enablement. Let's start with the first part, which is the left side of the slide, where we aim to personalize upskilling through workshops and an individual learning path with the help of GenAI. A customized generative AI assistant will be trained on Nadara's internal training documents and resources and will be accessible via an internal chat interface. This chatbot will provide employees with relevant learning resources and also direct feedback on their learning progress. So we automate the upskilling and learning experience every company has for their employees. Our upskilling use case also focuses on facilitating day-to-day work by giving employees fast access to Nadara's knowledge, tools, and project history. This is the right part of the slide. A customized GenAI assistant will help employees to retrieve, for example, past projects, reports, or even templates, and also provides guidance on specific processes and documentation. It also verifies alignment with internal procedures automatically. And to make the workforce upskilling initiative as efficient as possible, we suggest organizing several 5-week workshop series. On the bottom of the slide, you can see how that would look like. These will start with introducing the key benefits of the Gen AI use to get everyone on board, basically. But this goes up to teams even presenting best practices in using those Gen AI assistants to share, for example, the knowledge with their peers in the company Nadara.
Let's now dive into phase 5 of our value creation wheel project, ACT. This is the phase where strategy meets execution. Our goal here was to translate promising GenAI ideas into concrete, actionable plans for Nadara, ensuring operational feasibility, measurable outcomes, and lasting impact. Let me walk you through our methodology for phase 5, where we turned GenAI ideas into actionable plans for Nadara. We started by applying the 3M framework, analyzing the required manpower, minutes, and money. This helped us evaluate internal capacity, setup time, and costs to ensure both feasibility and scalability for the rollout. Next, we used the business model canvas to translate our GenAI use cases into a structured framework. To track performance, we designed a KPI-driven monitoring system. While Nadara's implementation hasn't started yet, we already assessed our internal KPIs during the project. Nadara's short-term, medium, and long-term KPIs will be measured post-rollout. From there, we defined next steps and anticipated challenges, outlining a phased implementation approach, identifying required partners, and building in mitigation strategies. Finally, we summarized the project outputs and managerial implications, ensuring Nadara is equipped not just with ideas, but with a clear plan for sustainable GenAI adoption. Let's take a closer look at manpower. The project core team leads throughout, coordinating departments, managing vendors, and tracking KPIs to keep everything on course. IT and infrastructure is equally involved in end-to-end, focused on integrating GenAI tools like Microsoft 365 and ChatGPT, while ensuring data security. HR plays a central role from Q1 to Q3, leading upskilling efforts, running training programs, and evaluating internal capabilities. Legal and compliance steps in during the middle phase to ensure alignment with GDPR and data privacy standards. We also activate a pilot team early on to test, gather feedback, and refine before the broader rollout. And lastly, top management provides strategic oversight, guiding alignment, approvals, and change leadership across all phases. Overall, we've designed this to ensure each stakeholder is engaged at the right time with the right intensity, balancing effectiveness with feasibility. Here you can see our 12-month GenAI implementation roadmap, organized into 4 key phases listed on the left. From boosting individual productivity to preparing for long-term AI integration. We begin with pilots in selected departments to automate Microsoft 365 workflows like meeting minutes. Based on feedback, we scale up and roll out company-wide by mid-year. In parallel, we integrate GenAI assistants into daily workflows, customizing them and embedding them into internal tools. Later in the year, we optimize these assistants for smarter knowledge access. To ensure adoption, we also run a continuous upskilling track, starting with user training and building toward more advanced, personalized learning paths. And finally, we look ahead by preparing for broader automation and AI-driven decision-making. Across the top, you'll see our key milestones like workshops and steering meetings to keep the rollout structured and aligned with leadership. This slide lays out the cost structure for both the pilot phase and the full rollout across Nadara. We structured the estimate across 4 main categories: setup and integration, licenses, training, and external advisors. For each, we calculated costs based on realistic assumptions such as Nadara's employee base, license access ratios, and average hourly wages. The pilot phase, covering around 380 employees, serves as a lower risk testing ground and comes in at around 197,000 euros. Based on that learning, the full rollout to all 1,000 employees is projected at roughly 470,000 euros, keeping us well within the 500k budget limit. This dual phase approach ensures we validate value early while maintaining financial control as we scale. This slide outlines Nadara's tailored GenAI business model. Key partners like Microsoft, OpenAI, and regulators are critical for integration and compliance. Internally, company-specific data and training materials are vital resources. Our activities focus on automating routine tasks with Copilot and ChatGPT, launching targeted upskilling programs, and creating internal GenAI tools. The value proposition centers on improving productivity, saving time, and enabling smarter, more empowered work. We are supporting adoption with feedback loops, onboarding, and support channels. The rollout starts in finance and operations and then scales to all 1,000 employees. And with projected efficiency gains of 2.1 million euros annually, return clearly outweighs the investment of around 440k euros. To ensure we stayed on track throughout the project, we set and monitored clear internal KPIs. Since Nadara's broader GenAI impact KPIs will only be measurable after 6 months. We held weekly internal meetings and bi-weekly syncs with the key decision maker to stay aligned. All progress milestones were delivered on time and feedback loops ensured turnaround within just 3 days. This approach supported strategic alignment, smooth communication, and a highly collaborative team dynamic. We also made sure the entire team understood and applied the value creation framework at every stage, helping us maintain structure, transparency, and delivery focus from planning to execution. Now that the overall rollout plan is clear, these are the concrete next steps we recommend for Nadara to ensure smooth and strategic implementation. First, we align with leadership to validate the proposed concepts and secure executive buy-in. Next, we launch small-scale pilots such as the meeting minutes automation and AI learning assistant to test feasibility, usability, and initial impact in selected teams. Based on these pilots, we'll establish feedback loops to gather user insights and performance data, allowing us to refine the solutions before scaling. Then, we move to a full company launch, rolling out the validated tools across Nadara with customized onboarding and technical integration tailored to each department. Finally, we recommend setting up a dedicated AI innovation group to guide long-term success, tracking GenAI trends, evaluating new tools, and driving continuous updates in training and governance. As we move forward toward full implementation, we've also identified 3 critical challenges that could hinder Nadara's GenAI adoption and outlined targeted mitigation strategies for each. First, low AI literacy. Many employees may lack confidence or understanding of GenAI tools. To tackle this, we propose structured upskilling programs using real Nadara use cases like meeting minutes and appointing AI champions in each team to provide peer support. Second, governance and risk control. A company-wide rollout brings increased risk around data privacy, content quality, and compliance. We recommend introducing clear role-based permissions and launching an AI governance committee to oversee usage policies and safeguards. Lastly, keeping pace with rapid GenAI evolution. With the technology landscape shifting quickly, we must stay agile. We suggest forming a cross-functional innovation group to track trends, review tools regularly, and pilot new features before scaling. To close, let's look at the concrete outcomes of our project and what they imply for Nadara moving forward. On the left, we've outlined the key outputs. We developed a 12-month GenAI roadmap with clear milestones and pilot testing. Use cases were created to boost productivity, like automating Microsoft 365 tasks and to personalize upskilling through AI assistance. We also evaluated the most suitable AI tools, calculated associated costs, and outlined next steps and long-term opportunities. On the right, we see the managerial implications. Nadara needs strong oversight, resource allocation for tool support, and clear governance mechanisms to ensure compliance. Managers should regularly track KPIs and refine tools based on adoption. Finally, success depends on cross-functional collaboration across HR, IT, and operations to coordinate planning and execution. Last but not least, we also want to share the key lessons we gained throughout this project while applying the value creation wheel. First, we had to stay adaptive, adding new criteria as our understanding deepened, showing how important flexibility is in early stages. We also realized that killing ideas is progress. Cutting 11 use cases helped us focus on what's truly feasible and valuable. VCW guided interviews gave us more targeted insights, moving from generic feedback to real decision-making input. Importantly, we saw that VCW is a tool, not the answer. Real breakthroughs came from how we adapted it to Nadara's context. Also, impact isn't everything. Some ideas looked great, but didn't fit our criteria. And finally, we saw the value of involving end users, not just managers. The practical feedback often made the biggest difference. These lessons helped shape a plan that's strategic and grounded in Nadara's real needs.
Throughout our project with Nadara, we face several key challenges that become valuable learning opportunities for us. First, we had to navigate a completely new and complex context, artificial intelligence and renewable energies. This required deep research and critical thinking to fully understand trends and application. Then we work on designing a strategic and realistic implementation plan, making sure it was technically feasible, aligned with Nadara needs, and professionally structured. Finally, coordinating the team was essential. Despite different schedules and tight deadlines, we learned to collaborate efficiently, improve internal communication, and strengthen key soft skills like time management and team working. All of these challenges help us grow both as a team and as individuals. During our work, we try to collect some feedback, and these slides highlight different perspectives from both our team and stakeholders involved in the project. As you can see, the feedback reflects how impactful and grounded the work has been, from aligning GenAI solution with real business needs to improving team collaboration and learning to co-create with stakeholders. These quotes reinforce that the project wasn't just technical, it was practical, user-centered, and deeply collaborative. During the project, we also shared our ideas with several professionals, including AI experts, industry specialists from energy, and other professionals who have used similar tools. Their feedback was consistently positive. They validated our use case selection and roadmap, confirmed the value of a phased rollout to reduce risk, and shared the key insight on integration, data privacy, and compliance. Some also suggested innovative application like using GenAI to enhance ESG reporting and improve financial forecasting. All ideas that we try to incorporate in our plan.
That concludes our presentation. Thank you for your time and attention. It's been a rewarding journey bringing GenAI from ideas to action, and we're excited about what lies ahead for Nadara.